CNN will soon be airing a powerful new documentary entitled Crisis: America Not in Crisis. The documentary will detail the crisis hitting America's newsrooms as all across this nation, from 8th Avenue in Manhattan all the way to H Street in Washington, D.C., journalists are realizing that the racial tensions tearing this country apart exist largely from 8th Avenue in Manhattan all the way to H Street in Washington, D.C. The crisis was sparked after shocking videos of life outside a narrow corridor of land near the East Coast somehow found their way into American newsrooms. These videos, largely taken during Hurricane Harvey in Texas, showed amazing scenes of yucky, ordinary Americans treating each other with civility, kindness, and respect, even as America's journalists were slavering with sneering hatred for them because they're different than America's slavering, hate-filled journalists. In one amazing rescue involving helicopters, small watercraft, and police dogs, CNN's Chris Cuomo was airlifted out of an ideological bubble in which he'd been trapped for 47 years. In the wake of the rescue, Cuomo witnessed scenes of Texans he absolutely despised doing nicer things for one another than he'd ever done for anyone. Cuomo then gave an interview to his own hand in which he said, quote, "Oh, my dear hand, to whom I've been talking almost exclusively for as long as I can remember, it now seems I've been reporting on seething racism in an America that exists almost entirely inside my own imagination. Oh, please, my beloved hand, send me back to that imaginary America forever, lest I have to change my mind about anything or admit to myself that the ordinary Americans I hate are actually better people than I am," unquote. In another crisis scene at the offices of the New York Times, a former newspaper, emergency workers labored overtime to shore up the minds of journalists lest they perceive that they've been covering a small number of black activist conmen playing off an even smaller number of white supremacist losers in order to instigate localized riots and protests that create the illusion that a generally friendly and prosperous America is coming apart at the seams. In a statement released to the Hamptons, New York Times editor Blithering Prevarication III announced, quote, "It would be a crisis of unprecedented proportions if our readers should ever suspect that the poverty, high crime, and anger in many inner-city neighborhoods are not the result of American racism, but of the poor social policies and race-mongering lies we've been promoting for 60 years, unquote. As the crisis of non-crisis deepens, many journalists are beginning to fear that Americans may soon discover that more than half of the angry white men they say voted for Donald Trump were not men or not white, meaning the country looks nothing like they say it does. As Clinton's surrogate George Stephanopoulos said in an interview with ABC's top journalist George Stephanopoulos, quote, "We must build stronger levees and sturdier infrastructure to keep America's newsrooms from being flooded by reality," unquote. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
Okay, we are back, and California burned down, and North Korea set off a hydrogen bomb. So, as Klavanless Weekend goes, it wasn't so bad.
On the tame side.
That's right. It was on the tame side, and Hurricane Irma is heading for next Klavanless Weekend. Is heading for Florida. It's the mailbag tomorrow. Tomorrow is the mailbag, so you don't have much time. You have to be a subscriber, but if you're a subscriber, you can send in questions about your personal life, your religious thoughts, politics. I will answer them all, and answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life now and then for the better. So you go on the website, right? Yeah. I'm going to get this right. You go on the website, you go to the podcast place, press the button, you can send in your questions, send them in now, and we'll answer them. If you want, you can do it live, but you got to be a subscriber, which is only a lousy $10 a month. I mean, come on, we will change your life for a lousy $10 a month. If you want to subscribe for the year, it's $100, and you get the Leftist Tears tumbler. The Leftist Tears tumbler comes complete with Leftist Tears and refills automatically every time Donald Trump makes a speech. A lot of times people will tell you, what do you do to keep your relationships fresh, to keep your marriage fresh, to keep, from getting bored over time. And you want to try every now and again to surprise your beloved with something he or she is not expecting. So you might try like waiting till she's, half asleep and then suddenly, jumping into the room in a big, mask from Halloween and screaming and holding a dagger over her head. Or you could send her flowers. Flowers, I'm guessing, probably yeah. All right, so proflowers.com is the place to go. You can get, they want to help you surprise someone for no reason at all while also surprising you with a special deal. You can get 20% off any of their unique summer rose bouquets or any other bouquet of $29 or more. They have these colorful rainbow roses, which are always a hit if you aren't sure what to send somebody, and they're guaranteed to stay fresh for at least 7 days or your money back, and you control the delivery date. ProFlowers gives you more bloom for your buck, big, beautiful flowers with more stems for your money. I use them all the time, and they really are good. They're guaranteed. They come fresh. They come with this little water sponge in them, so they stay fresh. And with food, you can give them. If you want to get 20% off summer roses or any other bouquet of $29 or more, go to proflowers.com and use my code AK at checkout. How do you spell it? AK at checkout. That's proflowers.com and code AK. Don't wait to make someone's day. First, before we get to the news, and there is news breaking even as we speak, I have to issue a correction. I made a mistake last week. I know. This happened to me once before. It was July of 1967. I made a mistake, and I made another one, and it was a dumb mistake too, because I said that I wasn't sure Texas was in the Confederacy. And what's so dumb, of course, Texas was, of course, in the Confederacy. And what was so dumb about this is I frequently, even on the show, have talked about the fact that John Quincy Adams argued with Andrew Jackson about whether Texas should be allowed in back into the country from Mexico, because Adams said it's going to cause there'll be a civil war if you let a slave state back in. There's going to be a civil war. So I always say, was it worth having the Civil War to get Texas? And I think nowadays, yeah, pretty much. So anyway, I was wrong. Texas in the Confederacy, of course it was. All right. So now the summer is over. All the stuff is going to heat up. So this is going to be a big, big moment for our friend Donald Trump. This is going to be a big time because there's going to be a shift. You're going to see over the next month or two, you're going to see a shift in perspective. We've already passed from the Trump is Hitler phase into the Trump is unfit for office phase, right? So this is a new thing that we're dealing with. And soon, because there's going to be so much for Congress to deal with, you're going to be dealing now with the Trump's policies are bad thing, which is once they do that, I believe that that's going to be to Trump's advantage because most people agree with his policies. Today, Trump announced, or actually it was Jeff Sessions, the AG, the Attorney General, announced that they are getting rid of DACA, the so-called DREAM Act, which, how can I put this? This was a Barack Obama Act. You remember that all those people were coming down from Central America and they were being allowed into the country. They were flooding the country, and Obama was putting them in people's towns and just putting them everywhere. And he basically suspended any kind of deportation for them if they were under 31, I believe the number was. They kept saying it's for children, but it was not. It was, and also they weren't coming with their parents. The parents were putting them on trains and sending them over because they realized, why not? Why not? Nobody was doing anything about it. So here's Jeff Sessions making the announcement that they are going to get rid of it, but it's going to be in place for 60 days, for 6 months, to allow Congress to make a law if they want, because this was just an executive order. This is cut number 12.
I'm here today to announce that the program known as DACA that was effectuated under the Obama administration is being rescinded. The DACA program was implemented in 2012 and essentially provided a legal status for recipients for a renewable 2-year term, work authorization, and other benefits, including participation in the Social Security program to 800,000 mostly adult illegal aliens. The policy was implemented unilaterally to great controversy and legal concern after Congress rejected legislative proposals to extend similar benefits on numerous occasions to this same group of illegal aliens. In other words, the executive branch, through DACA, deliberately sought to achieve what the legislative branch specifically refused to authorize on multiple occasions.
So in other words, this is essentially Obama saying he's not going to enforce the law. Now, Obama did this a number of times. He did it with the Marriage Act. Remember Clinton's Marriage Act that defined marriage as between a man and a woman? He said, we're just not going to enforce it. Now, think about this for a minute, because what that means is that the people you elect to make the laws can make all the laws they want, but King Barack is allowed to say, I'm not going to enforce it. So that essentially means the law goes away. So Congress passes a law, and Barack Obama says he's not going to enforce it. And Jeff Sessions, being the Attorney General, went right to this part of the argument about it. This is cut number 13.
Such an open-ended circumvention of immigration laws was an unconstitutional exercise of authority by the executive branch. The effect of this unilateral executive amnesty, among other things, contributed to a surge of minors at the southern border that yielded terrible humanitarian consequences. It also denied jobs to hundreds of thousands of Americans by allowing those same illegal aliens to take those jobs. We inherited from our founders and have advanced an unsurpassed legal heritage, which is the foundation of our freedom, our safety, and our prosperity. As Attorney General, it is my duty to ensure that the laws of the United States are enforced and that the constitutional order is upheld.
Okay, now, so Sessions is basically getting right to the point of the matter, that Obama was transgressing against the way we make laws. And here is a former a high-ranking official who agreed that this could not be done. This is cut number 10.
With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case, because there are laws on the books that Congress has passed, and I know that everybody here at Bell is studying hard, so you know that we've got 3 branches of government. Congress passes the law. The executive branch's job is to enforce and implement those laws. And then the judiciary has to interpret the laws. There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply, through executive order, ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president.
So Obama, you know, I picked that particular one out. Obama said this for years. He said it again and again. He must have said over 20 times that he could not do what he then went ahead and did, because like Henry VIII, it took Obama a long time to realize that nobody was going to penalize him for anything, because the press worshipped him and the GOP was afraid of the press. They kept saying, we're not going to do anything to you. We're not going to do anything to you. And he got more and more and more lawless as his administration went on. So at first, you know, that was him talking to Univision. So he's talking to these people who were saying to him, why can't you just, you know, make a law? But he is now promising, boy, he's going to come out and make a statement. He should make that statement again. So we're going to get back to this in a minute, because it's really, really interesting the way the press makes people argue about this in a way that has nothing to do with it. Now, I've talked before about how every morning I come in here and people are so nice and everybody's so nice. And one of the things they always say to me is, how on earth did someone like you get a job in a nice place like this? And the reason is we didn't use ZipRecruiter.com. I was just standing on the street. I was hitchhiking. They said, get in the car and we'll give you a podcast. So what did I know? I got in the car. They gave me a podcast. But if you use ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 100+ job sites with just one click. And then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than anyone else. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate to the site within 1 day, and each and every one of them has turned me down for work. That's how you know that these are sharp, intelligent people. This way, with ZipRecruiter, there's no juggling emails or calls to your office. You simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. It doesn't get much better than that. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. All one word, Daily Wire. ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. One more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. Don't let someone like me happen to you. All right. So let's go back to Sessions for a minute. And Sessions basically puts forward what this issue is about. This cut 14.
No greater good for the overall health and well-being of our republic than preserving and strengthening the impartial rule of law. Societies where the rule of law is treasured are societies that tend to flourish and succeed. Societies where the rule of law is subject to political whims and personal biases tend to become societies afflicted by corruption, poverty, and human suffering.
It is that clear and that easy, okay? You got the rule of law, things go well. You have no rule of law, things go badly. Now let me show you, I really want to talk for a couple of minutes here about the way the press makes people stupid, okay? And let's start with how stupid they are. In order to get to the really, really stupid depths of press stupidity in stupid land, you have to travel to the New York Times op-ed page, or as we call it, Knucklehead Row.
Oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, let's go waltzing down to Knucklehead Row.
The chief knucklehead, no, that's not true. One of the chief knuckleheads on Knucklehead Row is David Brooks, who was brought on to be their House conservative. He's not conservative. He's the guy who thought Obama was going to be a great president because he loved the sharp crease on Obama's pants. I swear that's what he said. I thought, like, if you like the crease, why not elect his dry cleaner to be president? You know, it's like we could have somebody who actually accomplished something. I just want to put forward. This is David Brooks from Knucklehead Row, but he's on PBS, and he's talking about the lessons he learned from Hurricane Harvey. And you got to listen carefully to this because it really is amazing how closed-minded someone can be. What did we see at Hurricane Harvey? We saw that the Southerners with their hats were suddenly, they're not racist. They're helping everybody. Everybody was helping each other. Houston, one of the most integrated cities in the, one of the most diverse, we'll call it, cities in the country. That's what we saw. We saw that everything the press has been telling us about who we are and who America is and who America between New York and LA is was all untrue. It was all untrue. So what did David Brooks learn from that?
To me, the two biggest things that happened was, first, Houston came together. And that's significant because Houston is the most ethnically diverse city in this country. And there's an argument that's sometimes made, we'll never have solidarity as a nation if we're so ethnically diverse. Well, Houston does it. And so if they can do it, I think that argument against making our country diverse or opening up more immigration falls down. The second thing is that I think as Washington becomes more dysfunctional, power is going to the cities and states. And I thought the basic efficacy of the Houston government this week is further sign that may have to happen even more.
So he sees people working together, and he says, well, that means we can have more immigration. What has that got to do with anything? Who is saying, I'm sure there are some people saying we don't want people coming in because they're Mexican, but that's not what anybody is really talking about. They're talking about the rule of law. They're talking, the way they do this is they reduce everything to a narrative. Everything you see on the press is a narrative, and then you see that echoed even by smart people on Twitter and on all the social media where they start to argue about the narratives. Before I get to that, I want to show it to you because it really is amazing when you see them doing it. It just is an amazing thing to watch. We're talking about the narratives of DACA. But before we talk about that, let us talk about business travel. Because if you're in a big business, if you work for a huge corporation, you've got a whole department that deals with business travel. But if you're in a small business, if you run your own business or you've just got a couple of employees and you have to travel on business, where do you go? I will tell you. You go to upside.com. Upside.com knows that you need somebody to take care of the deals that get you the deals that you can get as a business. Upside has the absolute best available prices for flights, hotel, and rental cars for business travel. You can get, Upside will reward you with a gift card to places like Amazon.com every time you buy a business trip. And they have this amazing, they call it the 6-star treatment. It's even better than 5-star treatment. It's the 6-star treatment you'll get from Upside's customer service specialists. They call them navigators. So it's a triple win. Recently, a navigator noticed an Upside user was booked in a middle seat on a 3-hour-plus flight, so the navigator upgraded her to an aisle seat with more legroom. That's the way they take care of you if you work for a big corporation. That's the way Upside takes care of you if you work for a small business. That's just one example of how Upside navigators go above and beyond for business travelers. Imagine what they'll do for you. Upside navigators are instantly accessible 24/7 by voice, chat, email, or message on the Upside app, even reaching out to you with careful, useful info to help you avoid a problem before it happens. I will start your Upside 6-star treatment right now. You go to upside.com and use my code Andrew, and you'll get a minimum $100 gift card to amazon.com, which you can send to me out of gratitude. No, I made that part up. Keep it for yourself. Use it yourself. That's code Andrew at upside.com for a minimum $100 gift card to amazon.com when you buy your next business trip at upside.com. Upside.com, you deserve a better business trip. Minimum purchase required. See the site for complete details. In fact, go on the site because it's really easy to use and you'll see what they're talking about. We got a break from Facebook and YouTube. But remember, tomorrow is the mailbag. So those questions that have been bugging you your entire life can now be answered. In fact, all the problems of your life can be solved. They won't be, but they could be. You never know. So you got to subscribe. It's a lousy $10 a month. If you subscribe for the year, it's a lousy $100, and you get the Leftist Tears tumbler. Come on over to thedailywire.com. You can listen to the rest of the show.